The fall of 1999 was supposed to be Jennifer Williams's happiest season. After 3 years of fertility treatments, she was finally holding her twin daughters. But 6 hours after birth, a nurse told her that baby Lucy had stopped breathing. For 20 years, Jennifer mourned a daughter who wasn't dead. She was living 1,800 miles away, calling another woman Mom. October 8, 1999. Houston Methodist Hospital Labor and Delivery Ward. Jennifer Williams had been in labor for 14 hours when Amy came first, 4:17 a.m., crying immediately, healthy. Lucy followed 3 minutes later, smaller, quieter, but her vitals were strong. Identical twins, the ultrasound had confirmed, single placenta, mirror images of each other. Mark Williams cut both umbilical cords, hands shaking, crying openly. They'd tried for so long, now they had 2 perfect daughters. The babies were taken to the nursery for standard checks while Jennifer recovered. Mark followed, watching through the glass as nurses weighed, measured, footprinted. Amy in bassinet A, Lucy in bassinet B, pink caps, matching bracelets. He took 17 photos with the disposable camera, planning to develop doubles, 1 set for each girl's baby book. At 6:45 a.m., he went to the cafeteria for coffee, exhausted but euphoric. When he returned 20 minutes later, bassinet B was empty. Nancy Morrison had worked the night shift in Methodist nursery for 11 years. 43 years old, married to an insurance adjuster, lived in a suburban house in Pearland. What her coworkers didn't know was that Nancy had suffered 5 miscarriages, the last one resulting in a hysterectomy 3 years earlier. The adoption agencies had rejected them, her husband's DUI, their age, their debt. But Nancy still decorated a nursery in their house, still bought baby clothes, still needed what her body could no longer give her. 7:10 a.m. Nancy told the day shift that baby Williams B had experienced sudden respiratory distress, was rushed to NICU, didn't make it. She had the paperwork ready. Death certificate citing SIDS, signed by Dr. Patricia Morse, who was conveniently on vacation in Europe. Nancy had practiced forging her signature for weeks. The body, she explained, had already been taken to the morgue per protocol. The grieving parents wanted immediate cremation, everything filed, stamped, processed before anyone could question the speed. But here's what really happened in those 25 minutes. Nancy had taken Lucy from bassinet B, wrapped her in a different blanket, carried her to the employee parking garage in a medical supply bag. Her husband Tom was waiting in their minivan, car seat already installed. They drove straight to their Pearland house where a nursery waited, fully stocked with formula, diapers, clothes-sized newborn through 2T. Lucy became Hannah Morrison, born at home, midwife delivery, paperwork filed through a cousin who worked at the county clerk's office. Jennifer and Mark were told about Lucy at 7:30 a.m. Jennifer had been holding Amy, counting her fingers, when Dr. Reynolds entered with that expression doctors wear when delivering devastation. "There was a complication," he said. "Lucy experienced sudden infant death. We did everything possible." Jennifer's scream brought nurses running. Mark stood frozen, still holding the disposable camera with 17 photos of 2 daughters. They were offered grief counseling, given a memory box with Lucy's footprints, a lock of hair Nancy had cut from another baby. The hospital covered all funeral expenses, cremation, small service, a brass urn that held ashes from the hospital's incinerator, paper and medical waste mostly. The Williams family left Methodist with 1 daughter instead of 2. They bought a single crib, returned the duplicate everything they had purchased. Amy grew up knowing she'd had a twin, visiting Lucy's grave every October 8th, bringing flowers to a stone that marked nothing. Jennifer joined support groups for parents who'd lost multiples. Mark threw himself into work, avoiding the grief by avoiding home. They never sued the hospital. What was the point? SIDS happened, random, cruel, blameless. Meanwhile, in Pearland, Hannah Morrison was thriving. Nancy had quit her hospital job citing family emergency, became a stay-at-home mom. Tom worked longer hours to compensate. They told neighbors Hannah was adopted from a teenage mother, private arrangement, all legal. Hannah grew up loved, pampered, given everything. Private schools, violin lessons, equestrian club. Nancy documented every moment obsessively. Thousands of photos, videos, scrapbooks. The perfect mother with the perfect daughter she'd stolen. But here's what changed everything. October 2019. Amy Williams, now a sophomore at University of Texas studying molecular biology, submitted her DNA to a genetics database for a class project on hereditary traits. She was studying her predisposition for certain cancers, tracing ancestry, standard academic exercise. The results came back with something unexpected, a close family match in the database. Not a cousin or distant relative, a sibling, female, same age, listed as Hannah Morrison, Florida State University. Amy stared at the screen for an hour before calling her mother. Jennifer's first thought was laboratory error. Lucy was dead. They'd cremated her. They'd mourned for 20 years. But Amy had inherited her mother's stubborn streak and her father's analytical mind. She messaged Hannah through the database's connection service. "This might sound crazy, but I think we're twins." Hannah Morrison had always felt something was off. She looked nothing like her parents, both brown-eyed while she had green. She was left-handed, they were righties. Her mother had no baby photos from the hospital, claimed they were lost in a flood. When Amy's message arrived, something clicked. Hannah had submitted her DNA looking for her biological parents, assuming she was adopted. Finding a twin was impossible, wasn't it? The first video call lasted 4 hours. Looking at each other was like looking in mirrors. Same green eyes, same crooked smile, same way of tucking hair behind their ears. Amy showed Hannah photos from their birth, the 17 pictures Mark had taken, both bassinets visible. Hannah had no such photos. Her earliest picture was at 3 months old, in the Pearland house, Nancy holding her like she might disappear. They met in person 2 weeks later in Austin. The DNA test confirmed what their faces already showed. Identical twins, probability 99.97%. Jennifer and Mark drove down from Houston, saw their dead daughter alive at 20 years old, studying pre-med, planning to be a pediatrician. The reunion was devastating and beautiful. Lucy was alive, but she was Hannah. She'd been raised by the woman who'd stolen her. She loved the woman who'd stolen her. The investigation that followed destroyed multiple lives. Nancy Morrison was arrested on Thanksgiving Day, 2019. Tom Morrison claimed ignorance, said Nancy had told him the adoption was legal, private, complicated, but legitimate. Investigators found evidence suggesting otherwise. He'd helped forge documents, create false identities, cover the trail. But more disturbing was what they found in Nancy's attic, files on 43 babies born at Methodist between 1997 and 1999. Photos, medical records, parents' information. Lucy hadn't been her first attempt, just her first success. 2 other families were contacted. The Johnsons, whose son died in 1997, found him alive in Dallas, adopted by another family Nancy had supplied. The Chens, whose daughter supposedly died in 1998, discovered she'd been sold to a couple in California for $50,000. Nancy had been running a black market adoption ring, taking babies from vulnerable parents, young, poor, immigrants mostly, and selling them to desperate couples. Lucy was different. Lucy she'd kept for herself. Dr. Patricia Morse, whose signature had been forged, was found to have been complicit. She'd been taking bribes to look the other way, sign papers, process false death certificates. The hospital administration knew something was wrong. Too many infant deaths on Nancy's shifts, but the lawsuit potential kept them quiet. They'd rather have dead babies than scandals. The cover-up went up to the board level, emails destroyed, records altered, witnesses transferred to other hospitals with hefty severance packages. November 15, 2019. Nancy Morrison's house in Pearland, now a crime scene. In Hannah's childhood bedroom, investigators found everything a loved child would have: trophies, certificates, photos covering every wall. But in Nancy's bedroom closet, they found the memory boxes. 43 small boxes, each labeled with initials and dates. Inside, hospital bracelets, footprints, locks of hair, trophies from the babies she'd taken. Lucy's box was marked HM Mine, October 8, 1999. Inside was Amy's matching hospital bracelet, the one that should have been Lucy's. The trials lasted 2 years. Nancy Morrison got life without parole for kidnapping, fraud, conspiracy. Tom got 15 years. Dr. Morse died by suicide before trial. 3 hospital administrators got probation and fines. Methodist paid out $200 million in settlements to 14 families. But money didn't undo 20 years. Money didn't give Amy her twin sister back, or give Hannah her real parents, or give Jennifer the experience of raising both daughters. Hannah chose to keep her name. She'd been Hannah for 20 years. Lucy was a stranger who died at 6 hours old. She tried living with the Williamses for a summer, but it felt like wearing someone else's clothes. She loved them, but didn't know them. She loved Nancy too, despite everything, the only mother she'd known. During Nancy's sentencing, Hannah spoke. "You stole me from my family. You stole my identity. You stole my sister's childhood. But you also raised me. You loved me. I don't know how to reconcile those truths." Amy and Hannah meet once a month now, trying to build something from the ruins. They're identical in appearance, but different in everything else. Amy is cautious, analytical, plans everything. Hannah is spontaneous, artistic, trusts too easily. Amy plays piano. Hannah plays violin. They're learning each other like a new language, finding commonalities in genetics and differences in environment. Nature versus nurture, playing out in real time. Jennifer Williams keeps 2 photos on her mantle now. The one from the hospital, 2 bassinets, both daughters hours old. And one from last Christmas, Amy and Hannah sitting together, wearing matching sweaters Jennifer bought them, smiling but not quite comfortable. She gained a daughter but lost 20 years, found Lucy but never got her back. The math doesn't balance, the grief doesn't cancel out. In the basement of Houston Methodist, they found more evidence. A hidden room Nancy had used with cribs, medical equipment, everything needed to hold babies before moving them. On the wall, a list of names. Some crossed out, too risky, or parents too smart, or father suspicious. Lucy Williams had a star next to her name and one word: perfect. Perfect, because Jennifer was exhausted, Mark was distracted, and identical twins meant there was a spare. The cemetery where Lucy's empty grave sits has become a strange memorial. Families who lost babies at Methodist come here, leaving flowers at the stone that marks nothing, wondering if their children are alive somewhere. The groundskeeper says on October 8th, 2 young women come together now. They stand at the grave that belongs to one of them, commemorating a death that never happened, mourning a life that was stolen but not lost. Nancy Morrison, in prison, still insists she saved those babies, gave them better lives, better families, better futures. She gets letters from Hannah every month but doesn't open them. She knows what they say. The same thing every time. "I forgive you, but I'll never understand you." The guards say she talks to herself at night, singing lullabies, rocking imaginary babies, still playing mother in a cell that will never be a nursery. The real Lucy Williams died the moment Nancy carried her out of Methodist. What lived was Hannah Morrison, a different person with the same DNA. Amy got a sister, but not her twin. Jennifer got a daughter, but not her baby. Everyone got something back, but not what they'd lost. Some reunions don't restore. They just remind you of what's gone. Some crimes can't be undone, only uncovered, 20 years too late to matter.